Look both ways when you cross that street. Dot your I's and cross your T's. Measure twice, but cut once. Love life, live it up, bruh. Dream is good, do the work too. There ain't nothing you can't work through, and there ain't nothing I can't handle. There ain't nothing I can't handle. I look to the sky, and I thank God that I'm alive. I look to my wife, and I thank God she by my side. I've been through a lot, but I survived. It weighs on my heart from time to time, but there ain't nothing I can't handle.
Peace, big love, big blessings, and even bigger living. Everything that comes with it and everything in between it. You are tuned into Thinking Out Loud with Samuel David. It's just a conversation. And today I have two special guests. But before I introduce my guests, be sure you like and subscribe to Thinking Out Loud on YouTube. You can hit the button right here. And Thinking Out Loud is just a space of reflection, leveling up wherever we are in life, inspiration, motivation, empathy, transparency, and opening the lens into the world of those around us as they let us into their world. If you would like to be a sponsor of Thinking Out Loud, holla at your boy, because we do indeed utilize sponsors. Okay, enough of all that. Today I have two amazing special guests. They are lovers of art. They are here at the Wichita Art Museum where we are on site. I have the curator of art, Miss Tera, as well as Molly, who is the director, and keep me honest, the director of Learning, Engagement, and partnerships. So they are all about the art and leveling up the art here in Wichita. So thank you both for joining today.
Of course. We're honored.
Oh, it's an honor for me.
Nervous and honored.
Nervous is fine. Don't be nervous. It's just a conversation.
Everyone on YouTube. We hope we're okay.
I love it. I love it. I love it. You know, I traditionally start the show with the question. It might be a little different since I got two of you, but the question I love to ask is, how is your spirit?
My spirit is glowing right now.
I love that.
Yeah, we just opened this wonderful exhibition that we've been working so hard on. We had a great turnout for opening party on Saturday night. The exhibition looks great.
Yes.
So I'm flying high right now.
I love it.
Monday morning.
I love it.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Really so happy, glowing, honored to be part of this exhibition and to be part of this project. And again, we just did it this weekend. Yeah. So we're still waking up, it's like Molly said that it was like Christmas morning over the weekend. It feels that way still. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So I think out loud a lot, right? And we're just going to think out loud together. But as you talked about glowing and just waking up like it's like Christmas in here, right? Talk to us a little bit about the exhibition that we are sitting inside of, this Robert Peterson exhibition somewhere in America. Talk to me a little bit about it.
Yeah. So this exhibition was born about 2 years ago, a year and a half ago. 2 years ago in the fall, WAM's former director, Ian Crable, and I were in New York City, and we were at a gallery checking out a work that we eventually acquired. It's in a gallery over there that we absolutely love. And so we just, we made it to the gallery. We got lost on the way. We didn't taxi we should have.
New York City.
Yeah, we're in New York City. We're like, I'm very good at public transportation. I traveled and lived all over. Somehow we got lost. We almost didn't go to the gallery. I don't know if I've ever told that story. And we like almost bailed. It was like,
no
do
doubt.
we just wanna go get a coffee? It's like, but we made it. We made it to the gallery, and when we walked in, there was this Robert Peterson show, an artist that I had never heard of, an artist that she had never heard of. There were probably, it's a little gallery show, so there were probably, like 6 to 8 works maybe on the wall.
Okay.
And we both immediately fell in love. And, I'm a curator and I'm an art historian, so I've been looking at art for a lot of years now. And you don't feel that way super often, right? It's like, maybe it's like a really great first date. I don't know. When you like, when you feel something that you don't feel a lot. And we both felt that way when we saw the work. I'm telling too long a story.
No, I'm tuned in. I'm tapped in.
Doing it, right? We're thinking out loud.
Yeah.
So we so there was one painting in the show that was not already purchased, right? Like there was one painting at the gallery, and that was being held by the Brooklyn Museum And obviously, like the Brooklyn Museum, we love WAM, but the Brooklyn Museum is like fancy, right?
Okay.
Brooklyn, they're big time. We like to call them big kid museums, right? In fancy places around the world. It's a big kid museum. But they were, because it's a big kid museum, their wheels can kind of turn slow, right? There's just a lot of layers before they can acquire something. So we slipped in. We wrote the gallerist a letter about how much we wanted the painting that's over there, Sunday Kind of Love, about how meaningful it would be for Wichita, how we were trying to diversify our collection. We're an American art museum and tell a broader, more expansive, more complete, more open, more accessible American story, and how we saw this work and we said, we need it. And so we wrote this letter, and the gallerist sent it to Robert, and we wound up with Sunday Kind of Love. And that started our relationship with Robert, and we found out he's from Lawton, Oklahoma.
Right down the street?
Just right down the street. And he loved that we were from Wichita, and we felt like his community. He ended up coming. He gave a gallery talk for Molly. He was here to sort of celebrate the acquisition of that painting. And then while he was here, we talked about him doing an exhibition with us. And again, he's had gallery shows. He had a small show at the Philbrook, 6 or 7. The Philbrook is in Tulsa. Their art museum, awesome art museum, a small show there. But we are his first major real museum exhibition.
Wow.
And it's 46 works.
Yeah.
And so this is the exhibition. And so Robert painted a ton of new work for this show. We also worked really closely with him on what he wanted from, like, his existing corpus of work.
For sure.
What was really important to him that felt like key milestones in his career. One of the great things about my job is I also sort of get to decide what I want, what I want to be in the show.
Yeah.
So we worked together. We worked with the rest of our team. And here we are, like a year and a half later, 2 years later from when we saw Sunday Kind of Love.
Yeah.
We're sitting in Robert Peterson somewhere in America.
I love it. Listen, when I hear people talk with so much passion, it makes my heart smile, right? And it gets me to thinking a lot. And like I said, we think out loud, so we'll bounce all over the place. I wasn't too familiar with the art scene in Wichita, right? And I met Anthony Joyner, who's one of my good friends over at Mulberry Art Gallery. Shout out to them. And Anthony's great people, so I'm not saying it's about him traditionally, right? But traditionally, when you meet arts, right, folks, curators are kind of stuffy. Kind of like, can be super stuffy and like it's so sophisticated, over-sophisticated almost, right? But oh my gosh, Tara, you got so much energy. Molly, you got so much energy, right? And just meeting the team and everybody here, so much energy and love of each other, love of people, and love of the work, right? Where does that come from? And how does that work cohesively as a unit?
Such a great question. So I'm going to try to put it into words.
For sure.
There is so much part that Tara and I and our team have. I'm going to try not to cry, but maybe I will.
For sure. Let it out. Let it out. Let it out.
This is great, you guys. I feel like we're in like art therapy together.
I love it. I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
I got my first professional museum job 24 years ago.
Okay.
I've not worked in museums that whole time, but a lot of that time. So I have really, I can say I have spent my professional life connecting people with art because I've seen how powerful that is.
Yeah.
I've seen people moved into galleries. I've seen, on kid tours, children come to life and their teachers say they never talk in class. Like, this is incredible. We've both been with people as they're crying, looking at works of art and having these deeply moving experiences. And for me, art is all about connecting with other humans, the artist who made it, the person who's in the work of art, maybe the person who commissioned it originally, if we're talking about more historic art, and connecting with each other, having a conversation in front of that work of art. And I just believe with every fiber of my being that art is for everybody, and have worked to make that possible, to make museum business possible, to make this museum as warm and welcoming and engaging as I can. I've worked at the Dallas Museum of Art, and that museum in New York, and had similar jobs there where it's all about opening up what can feel like a stuffy place, so it can feel like a place that's maybe not for me, but it is. It's for all of us.
I love that.
So that's where my passion comes from. And we are so lucky to have the most charming and vivacious curator, who's also, I mean, she has a PhD from Northwestern, which is one of the top art history schools in our country.
No doubt.
So yeah, I mean,
Fire.
The most, intelligent, spot on academic credentials, and just so lovely and personable. So we're so lucky. Wichita has no idea how lucky we are to have Tera as a curator.
I love that.
Well, and Molly and I are from here. And we both went off to school and jobs and careers in different cities. And we both really love Wichita.
Yeah.
We really love this community, and we really love this museum. And I do think we don't want to work at a place where people are suffering. I mean, that's part of the reason we're here. Do you know what I mean? At WAM.
Totally understandable.
We get to be, and then we work with these, incredible people. And God, there's just like no greater joy than coming to work every morning with people that care about you and care about what you're doing, and everybody's pulling the same direction, and a shared passion and vision. And that's what we get to do. So like we say this, it's our dream job. Like
I love that.
This is my dream. Like this is my dream. If you would have told like my 15-year-old self that this is what I got to do, I would be like incandescently happy. Yeah.
So let me ask that, right? So when you ladies have an opportunity to do what you love and love while you're doing it, because sometimes that doesn't happen. You might love what you do, but not love doing it, just depending on where you're at. When did you fall in love with art? You said 15. Your 15-year-old self would be extremely happy.
Yeah. I don't even know how I learned that art history was a thing, right?
Okay.
Because that's not even like most high schools, even though I actually got to take art history in high school. But I went to college. I went to undergrad. I was an undergrad at KU, and I went to college as an art history major. I was an art kid, right?
Okay.
Like I loved making work, but I loved the story behind work that was already made. Sure, I can make it, I can draw, it's fine. Like, I mean, I couldn't draw, it wasn't fine. I wasn't going to be a great artist, but I was, transfixed, as, a freshman in high school, looking through art books, in the art room. Art from all times and all places. And the way that opened up stories about humans and culture and the past and the way that people have lived and what's important to them and what they valued. And now I'm going to tear up, but it's like someone you don't know who could be very similar to you or very different from you in your time and place or not in your time and place. And they're reaching across to you with divide. And that's what I think we both fundamentally, that's what art is, right? It connects us to other people across time and space. And then someday, we're sitting in Robert Peterson, and Robert's talked about this too. Someday, that work, 200 years from now, is going to tell somebody about Robert, about Lawton, Oklahoma, about America, about the African-American experience, about the Black experience, about love, about childhood, about family. And we, at a museum, get to be caretakers for just a little while of these things that have these stories and existed before us and will exist after us. Yeah. And for a second, we step into the stream, and someday we're going to step out and somebody else is going to step into the stream. But these are going to live forever, and that's pretty great too. Yeah.
You got my spirit moving. I love passion. I love listening to folks speak about their passions, right? With such passion, for the lack of a better word, right? So much love. And when I'm looking around at this exhibit, there's so much love in here, and
so much love.
The art is amazing. When you were speaking with Robert during his presentation of everything the other night, he talked about the normalcy. Right. And I love that it makes Black people look so normal and so day to day. I love the clown series with the do-rags. I should have rocked my do-rag, but I wear a bonnet, not a do-rag these days. But when I'm looking around and I'm thinking this art is worth 1,000 words, right? Which one of these speaks to you the loudest?
It's a different one every day.
Wow. Okay.
It's a different one every 5 seconds. probably. It's a different one depending on what I'm looking at right now. Molly, you answer this question first.
Okay.
Do you have one that you're cued in right now?
I do, and we're in the perfect position to look at it. It's this little boy right here.
Yeah.
This is my favorite painting because the look on his face is called pure joy. The look on his face is of pure joy. Mm-hmm. I feel like I know that kid.
Yeah.
The idea of that spirit, that look on his face, not concerned about, all of the things that we may carry with us as adults. There's just something there's pure joy that radiates from that. And I'm drawn to that one every time. I want to give him a hug.
I love that. I love, when I see it, I definitely see pure joy. I would say black boy joy, which, too often young black boys don't have an opportunity to experience such joy. And so to see that captured like that is dope. Wow. I could look at these all day. And I can hear you talk about art all day. Let's talk a little bit about WAM, Wichita Art Museum. Mm-hmm. So I was doing a little bit of research, and I seen that, I think it was back in 2021, it started to be free and accessible for the community, and it still is. Mm-hmm. What brought that decision along? Well, before I ask that part, and I seen you came along around 2020, 21?
She did. I started in 2017.
2017,
yeah, and
okay.
So I moved back to Wichita. And I actually started at WAM as the interim director, and then I wormed my way in.
I like it.
Permanent position.
Yeah.
So that was my nefarious plan. Mm-hmm. And so and again, so I'm from here, and so I moved back to town to take the interim position, and it turned out to be the right fit, Okay. So and Molly started 2 years ago, about this time.
Yeah, almost 2 years ago. I had been teaching at Derby High School, which is my alma mater.
Okay.
I love teenagers. It was the most fun job I've ever had until this one. And got an opportunity. Yeah, I had worked in museums before, but the right position opened up here. We had a wonderful director at the time, Ann Crayville, who Tara mentioned. Mm-hmm. So I was thrilled to get to come and work with her. Sure. And it was shortly after that, I think it was almost 2 years ago, that she decided, this is Wichita's museum. Yeah. It's Wichita's collection. We should be free to Wichita. So that being said, there is a ticket price for our special exhibitions. That support allows us to continue to have exhibitions like this. Yeah. But we have a free day for every special exhibition. We have lots of opportunities for access to the museum, but for the most part, it's free. We have a lot of free programming as well. Yeah. I fight Tara for the title of the most fun job in Wichita because I get to plan all of the fun things we do with the art. So when we have, we're open late on Fridays, we have nights, we try to make those free as often as we can. Mm-hmm.
And Molly and I and our former director and everybody here, we want it to be free. We want everybody to come. We want everybody to feel like they belong. One of the cool things that Molly did, and now I'm taking it slightly off topic, is Molly worked really hard last year to redesign our children's and family space. Okay. So there's a space downstairs called Play. And she can talk to more about what's in Play. Mm-hmm. But it was incredible all summer long, right? Yeah. Because we have families, we have, young kids. There's just not a ton to do that's free in Wichita. And you could come and you could hear children delightfully screaming on down the hallway. And we try to get them from down there up and looking at the art. And so just want to remove as many barriers to entry as possible. But it's Wichita's museum. The art belongs to all of us. The art belongs to the city. Come, you shouldn't have to. You shouldn't have to pay.
You almost answered my question pretty much, right? Because I was going to ask, why is it so important for the art, for Wichita's museum, to be accessible to all at no cost? Yep. All right. So I love that. Yep. I love it. What about WAM makes it so special? Right. I know we've got a few different art galleries here in town. What about WAM makes it so special in the world? You spoke a little bit about New York and Dallas and some of the different galleries.
2 reasons, in my opinion, and I'll let Tara answer. Sorry to jump in. First, it's the people. I mean, we really have a very small but dedicated staff with a lot of chemistry, and I really like Tara's phrase that we're pulling in the same direction. So it's
These
just an
people I
exciting
work with
time.
are like magical. I mean, if people knew, I mean, again, I don't know that we would get paid if people knew how much fun we have. Yeah, like Molly is like an angel. She's like an angel. Look at this woman who is so smart and cares so much about this place in our city, but also like me personally, right? I've gone through some tough times since Molly came personally, and the amount of care that people had for me, like as a human being.
Yeah.
Well, so
it.
people, and honestly, as an art historian, we have one of the most incredible collections of American art anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, and that is something that, people don't need to have that knowledge or background to come in and look at the art and appreciate the art. But from my very specific viewpoint as a person who has a graduate degree in art history, has spent 30 years looking at art, visiting museums, working in museums, what we have here, I mean, rivals anywhere, really. I mean, we're very focused. It's American art. But, you walk around the corner, and I'm going to throw out some names. We have Edward Hopper, we have Mary Cassatt, Arthur Dove, just on display around the corner, which are very, like pillars of traditional American art. We have Horace Pippin. And then we have, as you continue around, just like heavy hitters that are so important for understanding the history of America, the history of American art. And I love that this is here right now, Robert Peterson, broadening that story in a way that is just as beautiful, important as anything else on this wall. So, I mean, it's astounding, our collection. Yeah.
I love it. Oh, you guys got me excited. So looking at Robert Peterson's exhibition and just thinking so I like to think to minority spaces, right? And when you look at bringing Robert Peterson in, is it intentional because he's a black man, or looking at the diversity factor, or is it truly just the love of the art and he just so happens to be a black man, right? Is that an intentional thing as you bring exhibitions in?
He's an extraordinary painter, and we only show work here of the highest caliber.
For sure.
And Robert, since we started working with him, has been collected by a lot of really major museums in the country. So we have one, the Philbrook has one, the Whiteman Art Museum at the University of Minnesota, the Brooklyn, who I mentioned. So he's he can paint. I mean,
sure.
It gives you chills. But at the same time, Robert's identity as a black man, and as a father, and as a person of faith, and as is integral.
I love
right?
the and.
It's all, it's like inseparable, right? Like his excellence as a painter is tied to his desire to show black men as excellent, to show black people as excellent, to show a Midwestern person who's not from a fancy place and not from New York City, not from LA, as excellent. And so again, I think it's both and, not either or, not one other. And all of those pieces connect into the fabric of what it is we get to see.
Makes sense. I love that. I'm gonna keep bouncing. So tell me if I bounce too far, bounce too much. What does a day in the life look like? Right, I'm gonna ask you first, Molly. Right, as a director of, and I'll say LEAP. I'll keep it at the acronym. Right. What does a day in the life look like for you here at WAM?
That's great. Well, it's not always glamorous. I think when I was very young, I thought that working in an art museum, I'd get to kind of just float through and look at the art and write about the art and talk about the art. Yeah. And there is that. I have a really great team in the LEAP department. So we are responsible for everything from school tours. We have a preschool program. We have story time. We have a senior Wednesday program. We have a different program every Friday night. And along with some other major programs throughout the year. So we stay really busy. I'm going to give this week as an example, maybe. So we had docent training today. So we got to be with our volunteers who give tours. In between, I'm emailing and going to meetings. I get to connect a lot with artists in our community who we invite to lead programs. And that happens in a variety of ways. We work with an organization called Harvester Arts, who connects us with a lot of local artists. Sometimes they're here giving talks. Sometimes they are working on, we have a community, we call it the Community Gallery. internally. It's called the Regional Creatives Exhibition Series. So artists who we showcase in the museum. So I get to work on all the logistics of that. And then Friday night, we're getting a bar set up, getting our 8B in, having a talk, or, we've done drop-in coloring. We've done all kinds of different things. So it's a really fun mix of like creative planning for how we can connect people with the works of art. So everything's centered on the work. That's the spark for all of our programming. So it's partly dreaming big about what we want to do, finding the people in our community to help us create those programs or those projects, and then a lot of logistics and emails and meetings to make it all happen. So when it arrives and people come to, I'll just use drop-in coloring as an example. We work with a really great artist named Santia Levy-Mason, who runs Get You Color On, which is a coloring studio. And she's created some really wonderful custom coloring sheets inspired by our collection. Most recently, we had a Friday night program where people could come color these sheets inspired by the collection and then go see the works of art. So when people come, I want them to just feel like this is the easiest program. It just kind of magically appeared. Santia is a magical person. They just get to come in and enjoy and have fun and step out of their everyday. So I get to do a lot of the behind the scenes nitty gritty, making that happen, which is totally my joy to get to do.
I love that. Oh, I love it. I got to make sure I pull up for some more programming.
Yeah, please do.
Because there's a lot that goes on here. Wow. Before I ask you about a day in your life, Molly, I have to ask, hearing the wide gamut of the different things you do, especially when I think to bridging the gap between community and the arts, what are some of the biggest challenges you find with bridging that gap, with getting folks who may not, I won't say have an appreciation of art, but may not have an understanding of the art?
And I think historically, just in museums in general, museums have not felt like the most open, inclusive places for everybody. So I would say the biggest challenge I have is overcoming that perception. And just because we're free, just because we renovated our space, doesn't mean anyone wants to come or sees value in coming. So a lot of my work is to find the right people in our community who are connected with organizations, who believe in our message and kind of be like the ambassador for that. So we have a great partnership this summer, and we'll continue to have this partnership, but with a community health organization called Salud y Bienestar. They work with Spanish speakers in our community to connect them to healthcare. So really important work of community healthcare workers who are very trusted by people who they work with. We invited them to come and see play. It's free space for families. It's air conditioned. I just want people here having fun, using that and connecting with each other. So we invited them in for just to take a look and just started a really great relationship, and ended up providing a tour where they provided a Spanish translator, provided a tour and an art making activity that had to do with the mental health benefits of creating art. So it was awesome. And, I think a lot of the folks who ended up coming to the museum probably would not have come if there had not been that connector, the staff who work with that organization. So I'd say that's our biggest challenge is we know we're for everybody, but historically that hasn't been true. We've got to figure out ways to break that down.
That makes sense. And so in your role as curator, right, what's your day-to-day look like, and what are some of the bigger challenges that you may face?
So I get to do sort of the art. So I have, God, it's just like so good. Again, my dream 15-year-old self. So there's a lot of logistics in those meetings, right? But I'm sure everybody like sitting at home, like nodding and just like, how am I for 94 hours a week? Yes, there's absolutely that. But my kind of foundational thing is that I work on the collection. So WAM at an art museum, the things that like belong to your museum are called the permanent collection. And we have about 10,000 artworks in the permanent collection that have been collected since 1935 when the museum opened. So I partially oversee that material. I'm not the kind of, we also have a job called a registrar, and she's in charge of all that paperwork and all of that insurance everything has a specific location and
the fun
everything
stuff.
has, right, like a bio, right? Like, very, very hard, very complicated job. But I get to do the fun stuff of like thinking about the collection and thinking about like, as we acquire new artwork, what kind of artwork should that be, right? Like no museum, even the richest museum in the world, has like an unlimited budget. So what it is, like, do we want to focus on? What do we want to acquire? How do we show what we have, right? So I curate, so when you're just like wandering through the building and you're like, oh yeah, this is just a room full of art that belongs to WAM. We call those permanent collection exhibitions. And I'm doing a lot of those probably all the time. Then I work with other museums then to bring artwork from their institutions here for loan exhibitions, right, that somebody else puts together, and then we just host it, right? So somebody else kind of curates, and then I work with that person to like bring it to Wichita. And then I also work on something like this, which is, everything from, meeting Robert at the beginning and like trying to find my way to like trying to be on like the right. You guys, the subway was mislabeled.
Back to New York, right? Okay, yes.
From being in New York to find the artists and sort of developing those relationships and like going to the studio and thinking about what you want to, get and how you would contextualize that. And then when we got Sunday Kind of Love, we put it in a permanent collection exhibition. And then just the process of like choosing work for this show, working with the artist and working with our registrar to get it here. There's always a little, you'll notice that there's always like a little label that's next to the artwork.
Yes, indeed.
It has writing. That's me. That's my department. That's my job. So I do a lot of writing about the art. I do both for the wall, but like for the website. I mean, just sort of the content portion of like, what is this artwork? What is it about? What is it meaningful? That's the curator's job. So
you get to build a grand relationship with the artists.
Yeah.
In that space, right? Because when I was walking around, anytime I'm in the museum and I'm reading the display, I'm like, did the artist send this, or was this captured via conversation with the curator? So.
Yeah, that's a great question. And one of the really special things about this show is, I sometimes I'm working, a lot of times you're like, we're an American Art Museum, not a contemporary art museum, which means that not everybody that we show is alive, right? Okay. So you can't call them up if they're dead.
Yeah, this is real.
So you're just doing research. You're looking through books. Did a newspaper interview them in 1972? Did I find that interview? Who smart has written about this person? Like what? You're just out there, like like a reporter or like a researcher.
That's what the historian, I can imagine.
Historian, exactly. Yeah. I mean, again, we're art historians. So so just a historian, but instead of like thinking about like World War II and military history, I think about art, right? But with Robert. First of all, he captions everything on Instagram, which is like astounding. Like I just am like, oh my God, let's just do let's let everyone do this until the end of time and not just start there. But he is so warm and accessible and became a good friend that I also just like in this way that like I never could have imagined. Like by the end of the project, I would just be like, now Robert, this is how you spell this person's name, right? This is what you said about this painting, right? Yeah. So in these little sort of texts that you have, there's a quote from Robert on About Everyone. And then I and my fantastic curatorial intern, Mary Frances Ivy, we wrote the sort of surrounding material.
Solid. I love it. Well, let me ask this as well, Tara. What's the most challenging piece of your role as a curator? It's all challenging. Yeah.
Right now, I think how would we answer that? I think the museum is in a transition period, and we're trying to improve the excellence of everything that we're doing. We're trying to be more open and accessible and welcoming to everybody. And it feels like the only limit is sort of staff and money, right? You know, like, but that's everybody's limit, right? Like that personal time and energy, right? Is that there's so much stuff that we want to do and achieve. And, you know, I hope we're doing really good, but you just always want more resources, right?
For sure.
To do those things. So.
That's fair. Resources matter.
Yeah.
They can change the game.
Yep.
So, and again, I just go back to how dope your team is collectively, right? So I can only imagine with additional resources how dope that would look, because right now it's on fire. So I love it. Definitely. A question I love to ask, and it's really a question of reflection, and I almost feel like the answer, you've said it a million times already, but with where you're currently at in life and currently in your role here at WAM, what is your biggest win or your most recent win that you've celebrated?
That's a good one. Okay, this is a big one.
I figured I was
I'm going to answer for Tara too. So this is really like, as a curator, pulling together a show like this with the living artist, where works are collected by collectors across the country. And she works really closely with our wonderful colleague, Chloe Lang, to get all of those pieces here and all of those things. There's a catalog that's coming. So Tara has been working with catalog editor on that. Those are all huge, scholarly, important kinds of museum projects. Huge feather in Tara's cap that she may not tell you about herself.
I love it.
So I'm going to say that for her, and she can expand if she wants.
Yeah. Really, just really, really honored to be a part of this with Robert, and to be, like, we just keep saying, you know, Robert's astounding. It's his work. I mean, it's his vision. It's his talent. It's his hard work. It's all him. We're just like little worker bees down here. But, you know, it's an honor to be part of something great.
For sure.
Yeah. She's humble.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Can I share another win?
Yes, please do.
Yeah.
Please do.
Yeah.
We're shortly after we had free admission, we changed our hours. So we're now open late every Friday night until 9 p.m. And we have a different program each week, call it WAM Nights. And that recently I was at a program at the Wichita Public Library, and somebody introduced me to this young, cool artist, and she asked me about WAM Nights. And I was like, oh my gosh, people actually know.
Yeah, straight up. That's dope. That's super dope.
So,
That is a big win.
That was a huge win.
I'm on.
And that's quest to like be accessible and fun and meaningful.
Yeah.
And be like a place to be on Friday nights. Our attendance for that has been growing, and I say it's a win. It's just super fun for me to get to be here and meet cool people and kind of be the facilitator for that. But that was a huge personal.
I love
win.
it.
I was like, okay, yeah, people know.
Heck yeah. Listen, I say you got to celebrate small wins even, right? Because they add up. They add up to the bigger things. And if you don't take a moment to smell the roses, they die. And so you got to smell them while they're alive.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Okay. One of my favorite questions to ask on Thinking Out Loud, and it's a big another reflection question, right? And again, Terry, you may have answered this already, but as you look back to your younger self, right? What is something that I normally say 10 years ago, but I'll go all the way back to your teenage self. What is something that as you learned through life, lessons through life, wins through life, what is something you would go back and tell your younger self?
Don't be so afraid what people think about you.
Go a little deeper for me.
Oh, I think, Molly, I'm going to speak for you too. I don't know. I'm just like a Kansas girl. And, I was good at school, and I always wanted the A, and I always wanted to be the smartest, and I always wanted everybody to think I was working hardest. And I always, was so, just so kind of focused on that approval and maybe those sort of external markers of success. And I hope, like, I'm 40, I'm in my early 40s, I'm this age, and continue to get older, that I can let some of that go. And that doesn't mean that having the respect of people that you love and admire is not foundational. And that does not mean that being a good person in your daily interaction and who you are is not foundational to who I am. but just letting it be less sort of cluttery and scary and like lying in bed in the middle of the night thinking, I shouldn't have said that thing. I was weird. Was I smart enough? Was that good enough? I should have tried harder. I tried hard, but it wasn't good enough. And just trying to let some of that go and maybe think about the wins or just let it be more about the work and, you know, and also like the day to day and that you get to participate in something that's really meaningful. And again, that's one of the great things about my colleagues, the people that I work with. It's just sort of the day to day of like doing something meaningful and being with good people, trying to do good.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So now it really is therapy, right?
For sure. No problem at all. No problem at all.
How does that make you feel? But I'm thinking, I don't know. I'm thinking about that a lot at like my age and whatever. But I think that's really common for women in their 40s. Don't you, Molly? Yes.
I think it's common for people.
Okay.
Like even as a man, like late 30s, like I'm like, yo.
I gotta think about other stuff other than that. There's not enough room for the static of like external validation and just live your life and do your best.
One of my favorite quotes.
Live your life and do your best. Yeah.
One of my favorite quotes that I put in a song of mine is that some people will love you and some will hate you, and you can't please everybody.
Yeah.
So
that's so true.
That's the life. So, Molly, your turn.
I mean, in a similar vein, I'm almost 50 at 48. Something I've been thinking a lot about that I'm proud of myself for and have gotten better at over the decades is like taking risks, like being bold, just working hard.
I love that hard worker. She is.
Like the consistency. I mean, I'm really proud of that now. I think that can be problematic sometimes too.
Yeah.
That kind of take the risk and see where you end up. That it may not be what my mom would have chosen for me to do, or my friends at the time think that's a good idea. But I found that the risks I've taken have really been rewarded, and along with that hard work. And I think it's a lot of the reason that I'm sitting here right now in this exhibition with this job that I have. So yeah, that's what I told my younger self: keep working hard and take those risks.
I love it. Live life and love it.
Yes, live life and love it.
Like you get one of these things, like make it count. Make it count. I normally cuss a lot, but I'm holding my tongue to not use profanity. Right. But no, I love that. I love that moment of reflection because again, it's important. It's my favorite. I love to ask how's your spirit early on, and I love to ask, what would you tell yourself? Because as adults, we don't take that time to reflect, right? And it's so important because you might be like, damn, I made it through everything I've been through.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. And when you have that realization, it's like, yo, I'm going to keep going.
Yeah.
Right? I got more to do. So it's really dope.
Yeah. I also think you guys have, not to be teary, but you show too one of the things I love about it, one of the things I love about the title Somewhere in America, which is really multifaceted, and like Robert came up with it. But I love the idea that like we're in Wichita and Robert's in Lawton, and the people who are being depicted here are families and children. And Black men of integrity and women holding up their community, and we're all just somewhere in America trying to do it, trying to be good people, trying to lift up our communities, trying to live day to day, like trying to live meaningful lives and however we define that. And that's part of the reason I think these works are so powerful to people. I think you can feel that. Like I think you can feel that kind of normalcy, but also that like striving that's just like in the heart of like who we are. Yeah.
For sure. I love that. I'm hopeful to interview Robert, but I want to ask you, have you all heard the Jay-Z song Somewhere in America?
Yes. No, I've never heard it.
You've never heard it?
No.
Okay. So
but he doesn't really remember the song, but he likes the phrase, and the phrase was part of the
Heard it. Yeah, I'm gonna next time I walk through the exhibition, I'm actually gonna play that song in my headphones and listen to it to see if it reflects it in a similar way. So, all right, a couple more questions, and then I'll leave you all alone. Or we can keep talking, right? It probably don't stop.
This was better than I thought it was going to be.
See, listen. See, a lot of people get nervous. It's just, it's a conversation. Okay. That's it. That's
I won't be watching it, but.
Now I'm going to make this the intro.
I might pay someone on the dark web to take it down.
I'll make copies.
I feel good.
You feel good. I love it. No, that's good. I'm glad that you feel good in this space. That's what it's about, right? That's my goal on Thinking Out Loud, is to give people like that space to feel comfortable to talk about themselves, essentially, right? And what makes you who you are, what you love about what you do, and things of that nature. Speaking about love and loving where you are, you both moved from Wichita and came back. What is it about our hometown that makes it so special?
Just the Wichita. You can take the girl out of Wichita, but you can't actually take then the girl's back in Wichita.
For sure.
Someone recently told Molly that she's like a hometown girl, and so was I. And we were like, we are a hometown girl.
Well, I think leaving and coming back, I know how hard it can be to live in other cities.
Yeah.
So I have a renewed appreciation for it's easy for me to get around, and traffic is not like Dallas commuting traffic. And, I don't have to lug my groceries in the sleet, like in New York. So, there's a little bit just practical. But for me, it's family. I have 4 younger siblings, and my 3 younger sisters all have daughters. So I have 7 nieces who are here. I came back when the oldest was 8, and she's in college now. So, and the youngest is 8 years old. So getting to watch them grow up, be part of their life, I've brought them, they've all come here as part of just what they do with Aunt Molly, and making art together. So that, I don't have my own children, so that has just been like the joy of my whole life, getting to see those girls and part of being here. And that's part of why I care so much about this museum, because I want it to be the museum that Wichita deserves. We deserve a great art museum for kids, for families, for everybody. That's why Wichita for me.
I love it.
Same. So my family is still here. And and Molly's the same way, right? We have this like really, really specialized job. And I just never would have thought that there are 3 jobs for art historians in the city of Wichita. We have 2 of them.
Yes.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So what's the likelihood? So I know you didn't either. I just always thought I would go away and never come back, because to do what we wanted to do and then achieve. But when the opportunity to come home and then stay arose, it was incredible. My family's here, my nieces. I don't have children of my own. What would I spend money on if I didn't spend them on that?
That's fair.
But I also think, and Wichita is so, it's easy. Everything is expensive, but comparatively, now we're just being real. Molly and I have this conversation a lot. We've lived in really expensive places, and it's just tough. When you're in the arts, when you're in a museum, you do not, no one's paying you Silicon Valley money. And it's hard to, you were in school forever, student loans. I mean, it's hard to get your feet under you. So that's a great thing about Wichita. But it also feels like the community here wants to embrace people, and it's just waiting with open arms for people to come and participate. And I don't think that's true of everywhere. We so please come on Friday night. We want you to come here. We want you to be here. We want you to be part of our family. And I just think that's happening in Wichita in 1,000 different places and 1,000 different spaces in a way that is special and unusual.
I agree wholeheartedly. I always say Wichita is the niche.
Yeah.
Right? When I think to small businesses, people love to celebrate Wichita, the culture. I know when I was a kid, I had no clue we had a Wichita flag. Right? But as an adult, I'm like, people really love our city. Right? And it's a great appreciation for it. Everything's connected in some way, shape, or form. Right? We're here because of a mutual friend, like we mentioned before. Right? Everything is connected, and I appreciate you ladies for making our city that much bigger. Right? In the work that you do. So, before we part, is there anything important that you want to get off your chest and share with the people, or just a reminder or anything?
That's great.
For sure.
You're right. We move so fast, and it's been a whirlwind getting this exhibition up, but just to have the chance to pause and reflect and think about, you know, what we're grateful for and why we're here. That's a gift to us.
Yeah,
definitely.
And we would love it if everyone who sees this comes and gets other people to come. We just want, like, our just foundational desire is for people to see this work. Yes. That's it.
That's for sure.
That's through January 5th.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Solid. Well, I tell you what, I appreciate you both for joining. Right, I know on camera conversations aren't always the easiest, right? But I am extremely prayerful, hopeful, and confident that your goals continue to be reached, that you continue to elevate the culture of Wichita, and that you just act on purpose in every space that you're in. And I appreciate you both for joining the show today. You are most welcome. It's been Thinking Out Loud with Samuel David with my special guests, Tera and Molly. We out.
Look both ways when you cross that street. Dot your I's and cross your T's. Measure twice, but cut once. Love life, live it up, bruh. Dream is good, do the work too. There ain't nothing you can't work through, and there ain't nothing I can't handle. There ain't nothing I can't handle. I look to the sky, and I thank God that I'm alive. I look to my wife, and I thank God she by my side. I've been through a lot, but I survived. It weighs on my heart from time to time, but there ain't nothing I can't handle.